So this is going to be a session on understanding what is exactly Six Sigma, right? And we will understand the basics, statistics, the meaning of the statistical terms, average and standard deviation. And we will also recap our understanding on specification limits and control limits. Any product, any service, any business, right? Customer will always, specify his requirement. Customer will tell his tolerable limits. We are going to call it as specification limits, right? And similarly, any process will operate between its extreme outputs, right? Any process will operate between the extreme outputs. Maybe the extreme on the right, extreme on the left, or you can call them as the worst outputs, right? And we are going to call it as process limits or process control limits, and then the understanding on the sigma level. This is what I have planned for you in this particular 1 hour session. And in between, we will also have a small exercise on calculating the standard deviation. So the statistics required to understand Six Sigma, the difference between specification limits and control limits, and the difference between various sigma levels, 3 sigma, 4 sigma, 5 sigma, or 6 sigma. So in the process, you will clearly understand the difference between sigma and sigma level. Sigma is a statistical term called standard deviation. How much deviated you are from the center value. That's called a deviation. And standard deviation is represented by the Greek letter sigma. And then sigma level, a measure of process capability. And then what will be the benefit of having a higher sigma level to organizations and everyone. So this is what we are going to learn in this session. And now I'm showing my slide, a ring of fire, right? If I ask all of you to jump inside the ring of fire, I'm sure you will find it difficult to execute it. But if you have to jump, probably all of you will try to jump through the center. Am I correct? You all will try to jump through the center. For the simple reason that center is the safest point in this exercise. Center is the safest point in this exercise because center is the point which is away from the border. I mean, away from the ring in the border, because the outer ring has fire in it. If you have to jump inside the ring of fire, you don't prefer to jump here or you don't prefer to jump here because all these points are near to the fire. So which is the point which is safest? The center. This is how you should run any business also. If your customer says don't cross this point, don't try to produce products, don't try to offer services close to the point beyond which the customer would reject your product, isn't it? So these points, the point beyond which customer will start disliking your product is called specification limit. My point now is don't try to produce products near the specification. Beyond the specification, customer will reject. Near the specification, the risk will be too high, right? So try to come away from the specification. In this example, center is the point which is far away from the fire. So this is called central tendency. This is called central tendency. So where are we trying to operate our process? Where are we trying to produce our product? Where are we trying to jump? We will understand by knowing the central tendency of the process, right? So central tendency can be measured statistically using by 3 methods. Either you measure the mean, or you measure the median, or you find out the mode. Mean, median, and mode. All the 3 will help you to understand the central tendency of your process. Now, what are we targeting here? We are targeting here to jump through the center of the ring. And now, after executing several jumps, if you have data, calculate the central tendency using the data. If the calculated central tendency and the targeted point, which is the center here, both are same, that means you are executing your jumping activity perfectly. You wanted to jump through a point having a lower risk, and you are actually doing it. How do you know? I calculated one of the central tendency, maybe the mean, and then I checked the target, and mean and target are almost same, and that means you are executing your plan very well as far as the jumping is concerned. See here, jumping continuously through the center might be a difficult process, similar to producing several thousand products with the same dimension. This is what all of us mostly do in any business, right? So producing more in number is generally a difficult job. That's why customer gives a tolerance. Customer will give a tolerance, target plus or minus some value. Similarly here, the small point I enlarged into a circle. If you can jump repeatedly inside the circle, it means you are consistently jumping well. You are consistently safe, isn't it? That is the meaning. So your consistency is measured by knowing your position from the center. If every time your position from the center is small, that means you are very consistent. Suppose if you jump outside of the white color circle, let's say you are jumping in the yellow color circle. Now, what do you understand? Your risk of being hit by the temperature is slightly increased. Hope all of you agree with me, isn't it? Now you have come close to the fire. The temperature will start feeling. Why your risk has increased? Because you have moved away from the center. Every time you produce a product, by any amount away from the target, you need to understand your risk is increasing. Risk of producing an defective item is increasing. Suppose if you go beyond, for example, now you have come to the orange area. Now what happened? You have moved far away from the center, right? You have moved far away from the center. Now your risk is really high. Your skin, will definitely, start, your skin will start burning because you are now very close to the temperature. So what do we understand? The central tendency should be on the target. And then every point or every jump we make should be always close to the target. If it is not close to the target, you move away from the target. That is what is called deviation. So there are two things we understood here. One is central tendency. Another one is deviation. The central tendency should be on the target and deviation should be minimum. So how do I measure the central tendency? How do I measure the, what do we call the deviation or the variation? So central tendency can be measured using three measures. One is mean, another one is median, and another one is mode. And the variation you can measure using three parameters. One is range, another one is standard deviation, another one is variance, right? So range means largest value minus smallest value. Standard deviation is deviation from the target or deviation from the center. Every point will be away from the center by a distance. That's called a deviation. On an average, how much is the deviation for a set of number? That is called standard deviation. You square the standard deviation, it becomes variance. So standard deviation is represented by the Greek letter sigma, and so variance is sigma square. Mean means average. You add all the number, divide by the number of numbers, you get mean. Median, you arrange the number in ascending order or descending order and find out the number that is there in the center, and that is median. And find out the most frequently occurred number, that is your mode. So any one of these measure will reflect the central tendency in your process. The goal should be, central tendency should be on the target. And similarly, range, standard deviation, variance, any one of these will definitely reflect the spread in your process. The spread means the lowest and the highest. What is the distance between the lowest and the highest? That is the spread. You can understand the spread using range, standard deviation, or variance. Our goal is we want a lower spread, right? That means all these things should be low because all of them directly measure the risk. I hope all of you understood the meaning of mean, median, mode, the central tendencies, and range, standard deviation, and variance, the measures of variation or spread. And now let me check whether you have understood correctly or not. Now there are certain numbers here. How many numbers are there? 2, 4, 6, 7 numbers are there. I want all of you to calculate the average here. What is the average? You add all the number, divide by 7. I'm sure all of you will get 3. 3 is the average here. You can check. You can add, divide by 7, and you will get 3. So mean is 3. So if you continue running this process, your output is expected to be around 3. That is the meaning of average. The output is expected to be around the 3. And this conclusion on the average will hold sound if the spread of the process is small. Look at the spread. Lower value is 1, higher value is 5. So how much is the spread now? Range is 5 minus 1, 4 units. Since the range is found to be higher, the conclusion you have made earlier comes with the risk. There will be a lot of uncertainty. The measures of variation will increase the amount of uncertainty in your decision made on the average, right? So here very clearly the uncertainty is more because the range is high. If the range is high, standard deviation will also be high, variance will also be high, right? So we understood the mean, we understood the range. Similarly, median, if you want to understand, I have already the numbers are in ascending order. Now, what is the number that you see in the center? 3. So median is also 3, mean also 3, median also 3. Let us think about mode. What do we mean by mode? The most frequently occurred event or occurred number. In this case, 3 occurred 3 times. So which is the mode here? 3 is the mode. And here we understand mean is equal to median and is equal to mode. So this is one property. Generally, a normally distributed curve will exhibit. In any normally distributed curve, mean will be equal to median and that will be equal to mode. Hope all of you understand the simple statistics here. If there are any questions, please do ask me. I would like to give you the chance.